What if the woman running your HOA forged your dead father's signature just to rent out your family home while you were dodging bullets overseas? What if she pocketed every rent check and called your military service abandonment? What if her entire clipboard kingdom was never even legal and one squad of pissed-off Marines was about to prove it? You're about to watch the most satisfying suburban takedown since Karen met Karma. Grab a drink because this one's gonna make you laugh through gritted teeth. My name's Izzy, third-generation Marine, and this is the story of how Barbara, bless your heart Kensington, tried to steal my childhood home while I was serving in Afghanistan. Spoiler: she didn't just lose. She became a federal cautionary tale with a side of orange jumpsuit. I inherited the little 1970s ranch on an acre in suburban Dallas 2 years ago, when Dad finally lost his fight with cancer. Nothing fancy, just honest brick, a big backyard where I learned to throw a football, and the smell of mesquite in the air every evening. Dad paid it off with 30 years of construction sweat. When the neighborhood got HOA'd 5 years back, he shrugged and said, "Tyler, sometimes you play the game so the game doesn't play you." Famous last words. Enter Barbara Kensington, 54, blonde bob sharper than my dress uniform, white Lexus with custom plates reading HOA1, and a wardrobe of pastel cardigans that probably cost more than my first deployment bonus. She spoke in that syrupy Texas drawl. Bless your heart, honey, right before she'd bury you in fines. 3 years ago she crowned herself HOA president and decided our neighborhood needed elevated standards. Translation: anything that didn't look like her McMansion was an eyesore. 6 months into my deployment the certified letters started. First a $2,800 special assessment for a community pool I'd never swim in. Then the violations: grass 0.3 inches too tall, American flag faded 2%. Yes, they measured. Mailbox decal, not regulation beige. Each one carried a $75 daily fine that stacked faster than my MRE regrets. I arranged autopay for the mortgage and asked my neighbor, 72-year-old Mrs. Patel, who still brought me samosas when I was home, to keep an eye on the place. Seemed solid. Until Mrs. 0300 Afghanistan time. Tyler Beta, that woman served me papers. Says I'm trespassing for checking on a soldier's house. Bless her heart, she's evil. I could hear Barb's voice in the background of her security cam footage. We simply cannot allow eyesores to drag down property values, dear. That was the moment I knew it wasn't about grass height. It was about erasing the modest military family that didn't fit her pastel vision. The fines hit $42,000 in 2 months. My savings account looked like it had been hit by an RPG. Then came the masterpiece. A 42-page property maintenance agreement, supposedly signed by my father in 2019, 6 months before his cancer diagnosis, waiving every service member's Civil Relief Act protection, and giving the HOA emergency authority over my house. The paper smelled like fresh printer ink in desperation. Dad's signature looked perfect if you ignored the fact the ink formula didn't exist until 2022. I fired off a SCRA letter. Bless your heart, Sergeant, but rules apply to everyone, even those serving our great nation. She hired her brother-in-law's sketchy landscaping outfit to maintain the property at $450 a week. Mrs. And then the real gut punch landed. Month 11. Notice of lien for $21,000. Attached was a sweet little letter offering to help me avoid foreclosure by selling to interested buyers. Translation: pay up or we steal it cheap. Mrs. Camera caught Barb giving tours like she already owned the place, measuring my dad's workshop for her future rental profit. I thought I had her. Legal assistants laughed so hard on our video call she nearly dropped her coffee. Tyler, this waiver isn't notarized, witnessed, or worth the toner it was printed on. Ezra laughs at this garbage. We filed an injunction. For one glorious week the letters stopped. Then Barb doubled down. Again her brother-in-law, and suddenly my house had tenants. A young couple with 2 kids moved in while I was still overseas. $2,900 a month rent. Every penny going straight into Barb's HOA recovery fund. Mrs. Photos. Moving truck in my driveway, kids riding bikes on my front lawn, Barb standing there with a clipboard and the smuggest smile in Texas. I dropped my hammer. Barb was using them as human shields. Command saw my face and granted emergency leave. I flew home to find strangers living in my father's house. The police shrugged. Civil matter, sir. Rebecca Torres, civilian attorney who eats HOA presidents for breakfast, took one look at the lease and grinned like a wolf. She never got full board approval. Colorado, no wait, Texas law says major decisions need a vote. She acted alone. That's criminal. But the real nuke was waiting in county records. Rebecca spread the papers like a royal flush. Tyler, your HOA doesn't legally exist. The incorporation papers from 2018 were missing signatures, fees, everything required under Texas statute. Barb had been collecting dues, issuing fines, and renting my house under a ghost corporation for 5 years. Every lien, every violation, every dollar she stole was fraud. Federal fraud. She'd targeted for other military families the same way. Always when the service member was deployed, always when they were vulnerable. She'd skimmed $52,000 in administrative costs for her personal shopping sprees. Her brother-in-law's company had no license, and she was about to learn that you don't mess with Marines who bring their entire platoon home on leave. I called my squad. Brothers landed in Dallas within 72 hours. Sergeant Wrench Morales, our mechanic turned hacker. Staff Sergeant Lisa Codengwin, IT wizard who could find your browser history from orbit. Corporal Legal Eagle Thompson with his paralegal cert. The rest, Hammer the carpenter, Doc the medic turned document expert, Com the media guy, Demo the electrician, and Logistics Lopez, turned my dad's garage into command central. We built the trap. First I called Barb pretending to fold. I can't fight anymore. Her voice dripped sugar. Bless your heart, Tyler, my brother-in-law Rick might take it off your hands for $18,000 below market. We'll be so reasonable. One-party consent state. Every greedy word recorded. Meanwhile, code traced everything. About cleaning up transient military housing. She posted pictures of my house captioned, "Finally elevating standards. Digital evidence goldmine." Rebecca subpoenaed financials. Stolen HOA funds traced to offshore accounts. Forged backdated incorporation papers. Bribery of a notary. Security footage of Rick sneaking onto my property at 2 a.m. with a crowbar, smashing windows, flooding the basement, muttering Barb said make it look natural. We let her keep digging. The innocent tenant family? We found them temporary housing through the VFW and promised no eviction until this was settled. They were victims too, pawns in Barb's greed. 3 weeks later the monthly HOA meeting arrived. Barb scheduled it herself. Perfect stage for her public victory lap. She had no idea 200 people, 3 TV crews, FBI agents disguised as neighbors, and 8 Marines in dress blues were waiting. The community center was packed. Barb strutted in wearing her power pastel suit, briefcase of forgeries in hand. She called the meeting to order with theatrical concern. Folks, we have a serious threat to our property values. Sergeant Ramirez abandoned his home. We must act to protect our community standards. She projected photos of the damaged house, damage her own brother-in-law caused. The crowd murmured. Scoff. Some people just don't belong here. Military families who treat our neighborhood like a hotel. They don't understand our standards. Dead silence. Zoom. Rebecca stood up. I have something to show everyone. The projector lit up with county records, FBI evidence photos, bank statements, the forged signature zoomed in beside the 2022 Inc. formula, the illegal rental agreement, the $380,000 theft trail, and the incorporation failure that made her entire reign illegal. The room exploded. Barb's face went from entitled to terrified in 0.3 seconds. She grabbed her briefcase and bolted for the exit, straight into Sheriff's Deputy Santos, Doc's sister, holding arrest warrants. Barbara Kensington, you're under arrest for wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy, bribery, violation of the Service Members Civil Relief Act, and vandalism. Handcuffs clicked. And freedom. FBI agent Morales stepped forward. We have recordings of you directing the vandalism. We have your offshore accounts. About removing undesirable military families. Smile, you're live on 3 channels. The media swarm was biblical. Years started chanting. Mrs. Crying. The tenant family thanked me for protecting them. My platoon stood at attention and saluted. Not me, but the flag that still flew over the house we saved. 6 months later the verdict was in. Barb got 8 years federal time and $2.4 million in restitution. Rick got 3 years. The fake HOA was dissolved. We formed a new one, veteran-led, transparent, with ironclad SCRA protections and zero tolerance for clipboard tyrants. I used the settlement to start the Deployed Defenders Foundation. Free legal help for military families fighting HOA abuse. We've already saved 312 homes. I'm in law school on the GI Bill now, specializing in exactly this fight. Rebecca and I are dating. Turns out nothing bonds two people like burying a Karen together. Every summer we throw the Freedom Barbecue in Dad's backyard. The same yard Barb tried to steal. Kids laugh where I once learned to be a man. Mrs. Moses. My squad brings stories that make civilians cry laughing. And that Colorado blue spruce, no wait, our Texas live oak, stands tall as a memorial to Dad and every family that refuses to be bullied. Here's the lazy truth and the only lesson you need. Itches aren't evil until a Karen decides the clipboard makes her God. Document everything. Come for you. And never forget, Real Americans protect the people who protect America. You're not alone out there. Horror story below. Together we'll keep turning Karens into cautionary tales. See you next week when I tell you how a single mom used grocery receipts to take down her corrupt apartment manager. Same energy. Stay savage, stay free.